Hello, I'm Jane Gogodos and welcome to this 2023 edition of Beyond the Headlines. Coming up, Malawi continues to battle the cholera outbreak, which has now claimed lives of over 700 people. But how much is the country doing to contain the situation?
As you can see behind me, there is a waste bin that has not been emptied yet. Some of the waste have started spilling out on the ground.
Also in this edition, we meet a Blantyre-based young man who takes us through his self-taught musical journey.
At school we had internet access, so I could go in the library because I had no any tutor. So I could go in the library and browse about guitars, how to hold the guitar, how to hold a pick, a plectrum, that is.
Thanks for joining us, and once again, a warm welcome. Cholera has largely been associated with the rainy season. However, in the year 2022, cases of the outbreak were reported in some districts such as Machinga as early as March. At the time, the country was still nursing the devastation effects of floods in the wake of tropical cyclones Anna and Gombe. The two cyclones pushed many to places where there was little or no access to clean and safe water for drinking. In an effort to control the outbreak, government through the Ministry of Health and Development partners like the World Health Organization introduced a number of interventions to curb the disease. Among the interventions was the administration of the 2.9 cholera vaccines targeting 2.8 million people. 9 months down the line, the country is still struggling to contain the cholera outbreak, with new cases of the disease being registered at an alarming rate. At this point, President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera announced that the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 would also oversee the fight against the cholera outbreak. From then on, reinforcements started, which among others singled out flea markets as hotspots of the outbreak. But then again, to what extent are these markets contributing to the further spread of the cholera outbreak? Here is Mwenecho Mwemi painting a picture of the situation in Blantyre.
This is Zingwangwa Market, where small-scale entrepreneurs play their trade. It is one of the markets in Blantyre with poor hygiene. A dump site for the market is located only 6 meters away from where vegetables are sold. In times of heavy rains, they say wastes are easily washed back into the market. Add to that, close to the dump site is a blocked sewer pipe that drains into the area where restaurants and benches for vegetables are. According to the chairperson for Zingwangwa Market, Ishmael Kondoni, officials at the City Council have been informed on several occasions on the challenge, but he alleges there is no action. Kondoni further claimed that public toilets at the market stopped working 3 years ago, a situation he says prompts people to relieve themselves in undesignated places.
As you can see behind me, there is a waste bin that has not been emptied yet. Some of the waste have started spilling out on the ground. The City Council is aware of the situation, but for reasons best known to themselves, they have chosen to disregard our request to have the waste collected. The situation is putting our lives at risk of contracting the cholera disease.
Commenting on the issue, one of the vendors at the market, Melifa Samson, says the blocked sewer pipe that drains itself into her business surrounding has negatively affected her daily sales.
This poor sanitation condition of our market has forced some customers to quit patronizing this market. Our profit margin has drastically decreased. This has made most of us to become reluctant when it comes to paying city rates.
Adding to her voice is another vendor who owns a restaurant at the market, Margaret Richard.
We have tried engaging the city council on several accounts regarding fixing the blocked sewer pipeline and emptying of waste bins, but nothing is being done about it. The situation has become worse during this rainy season as the residuals are being drained into our business premises. The council is even failing to fulfill small tasks such as clearing bush in the market.
MBC's visit to Limbe Market has shown that vendors in Zingwangwa and Limbe Market face similar challenges. Among other things, chairperson for Limbe Market, James Joshua, says the market has no water kiosk, a situation he says forces vendors to rely on contaminated sources.
In the past, we used to have public water kiosks as well as public toilets. All these things have now been privatized. The situation is forcing vendors to clean their products using contaminated water from a nearby stream. As for those who can't afford to pay at private toilets, they are prompted to relieve themselves at any place they feel they can.
Their claim come barely a few weeks after Blantyre City Council made organized market leaders where it outlined measures it has put in place to help contain the cholera outbreak in the city. Mayor for Blantyre City is Ward Ndipo.
The collection of garbage, you may agree with me, has actually improved slightly because already we have no more. I think we don't have much vehicles to do there, but we got 3 vehicles, I think, to supplement our fleet. And meanwhile, since we got that, you can agree with me that there is a reduction in the way the cases were. So we are still intensifying, and we are still handling overusing those same vehicles, much as we are appealing to the general public and to the corporate world to actually assist us also to purchase more of those vehicles. But the ones we have are being utilized and they are being put to good use.
Meanwhile, at the time of filing this report, records from the Ministry of Health indicate that Blantyre has registered the highest number of cholera cases across the country. As of Wednesday, January 11th, Malawi's cholera caseload stood at over 22,700 with 750 deaths.
Gift Kawalazira is the Director of Health and Social Services for Blantyre. He too laments the sanitation situation in Blantyre, a condition he says is exacerbating the spread of cholera at an alarming speed in the commercial city.
So as we're all aware that we have been struggling with the cholera outbreak in Blantyre since the month of April in 2022. But what we have noticed is that with the incoming of the rainy season, the number of cases has tremendously increased by a factor of almost 85%. For example, 3 weeks ago, we had 9 cases of cholera in the district, but that number increased to 65, and now we are at about 114 cases in a day. So you can see that the number of cases keeps on increasing, especially with the coming in of the rainy season, which is not surprising because we know that with the rainy season comes runoff, and the runoff actually transports waste and other harmful substances to other areas. That is why with the rainy season is always associated with an increase in the cholera cases. So basically, this disease, cholera, is actually has got more to do with poor hygiene. What it means is that most of the areas in Blantyre have got poor hygiene in terms of water sources as well as the use of toilets. So what we have observed is that most of the areas in Blantyre, especially the densely populated areas like Bangwe, Zingwangwa, Chiromoni, Maketa, people have got unprotected sources of water. There is lack of potable water that people can actually use. So people are using water from shallow wells, they're using water from swamps, they're using water from unprotected and hygienic areas. And that is the major contributing factor to the spread of cholera. There's also an issue to do with the use of toilets. Most of the people in these areas don't have proper toilets that they can actually use. So some of them actually end up discharging their waste in the rivers. Some of them are not actually using the toilets properly. Some of them is to do with disposal of waste or fecal material from children or babies. There are all these pampers nowadays, and we have also observed that people are not disposing them properly. And all that is actually contributing to the further spread of cholera as a disease. Up until now, over 2,298 people have been affected by the disease in Blantyre, and 107 people have unfortunately lost their lives to the pandemic. So the pandemic is here with us, it's real, let us all be serious about it, and let us all strictly observe good hygienic practices in everything that we do. Most importantly, we are giving out an oral cholera vaccine to everyone who is aged 1 year and above. So we'd like to encourage all the inhabitants of Blantyre to get in touch with our health facilities or the community health workers so that they can access this vaccine. It's going to protect them against severe disease in as far as cholera is concerned, but also it will assist in ensuring that they don't actually transmit the disease to other people.
Gift Kawalazira, Director of Health and Social Services for Blantyre. Now, Lilongwe is another district just like Blantyre, which has been hard hit with the cholera outbreak. This situation prompted the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Cholera, in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, to stop schools in the two districts from reopening. Beatrice Mwape paints a picture of the capital city's battle with cholera.
Every year during the rainy season, Malawi is always at a risk of a cholera outbreak. However, this year, unlike in the past, the disease kicked in way before the rainy season started, with one case registered in Machinga district in March 2021. From then on, the numbers kept on soaring in most districts, including Malawi's capital, Lilongwe, to the extent that it turned out to be one of the worst hit districts in the country. According to the World Health Organization, this is the largest epidemic reported in the past 10 years. The outbreak has disrupted people's livelihoods, as some businesses like food vending of cooked foods have been taken off the market to enhance hygiene practices among people. Children have also been affected, as authorities were forced to close down both primary and secondary schools in Blantyre and Lilongwe in a bid to mitigate the spread of the disease among children. According to the Ministry of Health, as of Wednesday, the country has recorded over 22,000 cases, of which 30% are children. The Ministry of Health has also released a report indicating that 90 children have lost their lives since the outbreak started. Health institutions, in collaboration with other stakeholders, are working tirelessly to educate people on cholera and encouraging them to take the oral cholera vaccine. In terms of vaccine uptake, despite resistance at the onset, Lilongwe has seen a sharp surge in demand. As of Monday last week, just like Blantyre, Lilongwe has had less than 100,000 doses of the vaccine. According to epidemiologist Wiseman Chimwaza, the demand is high globally, and availability of the vaccine would depend on the supply from the producers. However, the efforts to vaccinate and treat those affected have proved to be futile in some areas in the capital. Some people still hold on to beliefs and misconceptions that surround the vaccine, while some still do not believe in seeking medical help from the hospital based on their religious beliefs. This, unfortunately, has to a large extent affected the fight against the outbreak in the capital city. With some not seeking medical attention in good time, the disease is being spread easily to others, which is resulting in overcrowding in hospitals that already have limited resources. Patients are being forced to buy some of the necessities on their own, which not every patient can afford. Meanwhile, Baila District Health Office has urgently called for assistance. According to Baila District Health Office, the outbreak has hardly affected Area 36, Pwedegere, Mtsiriza and Mtandiri. According to water test by Lilongwe Water Board, results have shown that from 9 sampled shallow wells from the affected areas in the city reveal Fisesico coliforms, indicating that the water is contaminated. Meanwhile, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Cholera on Thursday announced the reopening of schools in Lilongwe and Blantyre District on Thursday, 17th January, with strict adherence to safe water and sanitation practices. For Beyond the Headlines, this is Beatrice Mwabe.
For many musical lovers, a talented musician is categorically defined as the one who plays music along with musical instruments live on set. But what does it take for such musicians to master the skill? Well, for many musicians, it takes someone to teach them how to perform a particular instrument with a lot of time and dedication on practice. But for those who did not receive formal training to play musical instruments like a guitar, what are their stories? Our reporter Bernard Kankono talks to Mervyn Matenganyama, a self-taught guitarist, who shares his story.
Marvin is a guitarist for now. As you can see, I'm holding the guitar. I'm from Zomba, TM Mulombe, in the village called Scam. I was born in a family of 2. I have my brother, he stays in Zomba, his name is Wisdom. I grew up in a family, I can say it's a poor family. We're not yet, it's a family that is not well to do. I moved from that family and started staying with my uncle in Kobe Barracks, just because I wanted to do school. That's secondary school. And in the Kobe Barracks, I joined a team. Of course, it was a 7th day team. I joined a team whereby I even became a reader in that team. I could really do the voices. But before that, in Jangalume, I joined a team, a press team, a choir, whereby I learned how to differentiate the voices. Like this is alto, this is tenor, this is bass, and this is soprano. I think I also saw myself that I can really do music in that team, because even my leader in that team could recommend how good I was in music than my friends.
Chimolo filanga tikapezi aliyelesa monga matsalala amayi wala pompo sakumbukansa sakalela ngasa samala kalowelela ndikubwelela.
I had my small phone, an Android phone, whereby I was using that. I didn't have a laptop in the first days at school, so I was using that phone for studying, because the lecturers could just send the notes like soft copies. So I had to be using that phone for studying. But then, because I really loved music, I had to sell my phone and buy an acoustic guitar. The acoustic guitar, that was 2018. That wasn't my first guitar. I also had another one, like when I was really young. I also had a certain guitar made of tin, and it had 3 strings. Those guitars in the village. So having that guitar, that small guitar in the village, I could feel like I'm Malawi. So I could go at the mountain composing songs with that guitar. And when I sold that phone and buy that guitar, an acoustic guitar at college, I think that was an upgrade because I could see now I have an acoustic, a standard acoustic guitar, though it had problems with the strings were just up, you know, when I'm holding, I could feel pain. So, but still more, I could feel I have the guitar.
Ndizatamanda zina lanu Yesu, ndizaimbila yeyeje ukulu wanu. Oh, ndizakwadila zina lanu, ndinu mfumu ya mafumu, ndinu woyela mbuye ndizasata inu. Satana libekawo, no 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 no. Pondo ndizapinda kugwadila inu, manja ndizakweza kulambila zina lanu. Mau ndizakweza kuyimbila inu, pakuti ndinu woyela, Yesu ndinu woyela. Kwa inu ndifuna, kwa inu ndipeza, kwa inu ndikumba, koti kuli chimwemwe, ndinu wondikonda, ndinu wosamala moyo wanga. Ndizatamanda zina lanu Yesu, ndizayimbila ukulu wanu. Oh, ndizakwadila zina lanu, ndinu mfumu.
Okay, after that, at school we had internet access. So I could go in the library because I had no any tutor. So I could go in the library and browse about guitars, how to hold the guitar, how to hold a plectrum, that is how to go about everything about guitars, because we had internet access. So I think that helped me like to find out a lot of things about the guitar, because that's what I was like interested with. So when my friends are doing school, I could also do school. Apart from that, I could also do about guitars. In the first days at school, what I was learning at school, I was studying. I think it was something I already knew, because at secondary school I was also taking computer studies. So with these, the first days at school, I think we were just repeating the same things we did in the secondary school. So I was like, no, I really have time. I can't be studying these things. They are very simple for me. So I think with that helped me to actually put my time on the guitar thing, so that I should actually get where I want to get. And after that, I also joined a place team. The first time I joined a band, it was a church band, Human Assemblies of God. I went there. I asked to join the team. They said, wow, you can join us. What do you do in the team? So I was like, I play the guitar. But then the guitar I had wasn't electric. It was just a guitar I was just playing at home. But at church, I accepted. I said, no, I can do this. They gave me the guitar, I started playing. That time I could use just the single string by hearing. I didn't know how to go about all these strings. So I could teach myself when I'm playing with my guitar, so I could see the note that I'm finding here, it's also right here. So I could do everything about that. And when I asked somebody, he could say, that's the scale. It's called major scale. So I was like, whoa. So I play around with major scale, but I didn't know I was playing around with major scale on the guitar. So after that, I think in 2019, I had an opportunity to play with Steve Somumulia for the first time, to play with an artist. I play with him, And I was like, now I'm a guitarist by now because this is huge for me. Now I play Afro music that goes along with local accents. I like this just because we are Malawians. I didn't want to go beyond Malawi before I actually go beyond everything. So I wanted to include Malawians in my music because this is where I'm coming from. Because I knew if I do something parallel to what we do here in Malawi, I think that will take time for people to recognize me. That will take time for people to hear my music, to hear what I do. So I thought of doing local so that I can get attention. I can actually call for an attention, Malawian attention. Sambozi sanundi imozi pote nyimbo yanga imandi josankawa There is a lot of opportunities in music. As I've already said, I came from Zomba to Blantyre, and then I got stuck here in Blantyre. It's just because of music. When I finished my school at St. John Paul II Leadership and IT Institute, I was supposed to be going home, so I had nothing to be doing here in Blantyre. So, but the church I was going, because I was a guitarist there, so they said, no, you shouldn't go home. So you stay here, because they saw I'm an asset at the church. So they say, you stay here. After you stay here, I think we'll be supporting you. We'll be giving you money for rent. We'll be giving you for food. You know, as a person, I had to live for that. So I've seen that my life, at a certain extent, I've lived for music. And most importantly, I'm being called by a lot of musicians to say, okay, you come here. So when I go play, I also get something from that. So I think music is really helping.
Well, with that story, musical story, it brings us to the end of this edition of Beyond the Headlines. Please let us know what you think about any of our stories. Leave your comments on Malawi Broadcasting Corporation Facebook. I'm Jane Gogodas. See you next week.